Mr. Speaker, I want to be very quick so that I allow my colleagues the opportunity to speak. Let me speak very briefly about continuity of projects from past administrations. We have seen this problem in Trans Nzoia. We have seen this problem, I think, even in Narok. Narok, there's a hospital that is stuck, and yet millions of shillings have already been spent on it. In Trans Nzoia, there's a doctor's plaza that has been the subject of Senate committee visits for the last 8 or 10 years. In Kakamega, there are the referral hospitals that they've been subject of Senate committee visits for the longest. In Mombasa, there is a stadium that has been the subject of Senate committee visits for the longest. Mr. Speaker, one time, Senator Kibiru, the then Senator for Kirinyaga, brought a motion to this House on the matter of continuity of stalled projects. And Mr. Speaker, we need to revisit that resolution of the House. Let me move on to on-source revenue. Mr. Speaker, today, the county with the highest on-source revenue is Nairobi, even though our analysis indicates that Nairobi is under-collecting and at the same time under-declaring. The second highest, Mr. Speaker, would be Kiambu, even though, again, when we looked at the growth in Kiambu numbers, we realized that most of it was hospital fees. The third one, which seems to have a much more organic growth, is Narok. And Mr. Speaker, Narok have demonstrated that their park fees have increased almost by 40–50%. I think that is more organic than when the growth is coming from hospital fees. Because many of our counties are doing business with the sick. And when they get the money from the hospitals, they have come up with funny legislation where 1/4 of that money is retained at the center and it is only 3/4 that goes back to hospitals. Mr. Speaker, we passed the health laws when we were in Turkana, and I don't think that we intended that money meant for hospitals was supposed to be used for other purposes. Money that is collected under FIF should be ring-fenced. We have also seen, Mr. Speaker, cases where automation is not a guarantor of growth in on-source revenue. And that tells you that some of these county governors and county officials have built backdoors and have put in traps in those systems for diversion of funds. We have seen counties, they put T-junctions in the systems and all sorts of algorithms to divert funds. Mr. Speaker, the Finance Committee must provide direction, I don't know whether it's Finance or ICT Committee, on the system that should be used by counties. I do not agree, Mr. Speaker. Personally, it is not the position of my committee that we should have 47 revenue collection systems, that we should have 47 parking systems, 47 hospital systems, 47 human resource management systems, 47 payroll systems. Mr. Speaker, the PFM gives that responsibility to the National Treasury to design and prescribe. And Mr. Speaker, I do not think that is micromanagement. There is no reason why 47 counties, each of them, should be spending 80 million shillings on a revenue collection system. If you look at the investment and the return, it does not make sense. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing a unified system that can be deployed by county governments. You get a unified ERP that can do revenue, that can do hospital, that can do human resource management, that can do project planning and monitoring. Mr. Speaker, it is possible to do so. On-source revenue, we have seen cases where, in reality, money is collected from Wananchi, but that money does not get to the county coffers. One good case is Kitui. Mr. Speaker, in Kitui, when we looked at the numbers, it looked like only 5 trucks were paying cess on a daily basis. But if you look at it in reality, almost 200 trucks pay for cess on a daily basis. And the question was, where does the money go? And of course, they'll give you stories about climate change and about banning of sand harvesting and about riots and all sorts of things. But, Mr. Speaker, in the case of Kitui, we have caused an investigation to ensure that the monies collected from people doing sand business can be accounted for. There's also the issue of unrealistic finance bills. Bungoma County passed a finance act and said they were going to sell fertilizer to farmers at a subsidized price of 2,500, consistent with the national policy. And then at some point, the governor decided that he's a generous man, and because they had just lit up the Christmas tree, he decided to give the fertilizer for free instead of charging the 2,500. Mr. Speaker, the tragedy is that the assembly that passed that law was in the room and they defended the governor. If we come up with a finance bill and impose a tariff, let's make sure that we observe that tariff. Moving quickly, Mr. Speaker, we have seen weaknesses in governance and internal controls. Quite a number of our counties still do not have functional audit committees, they do not have internal auditors, and they have not approved their audit charters. We have made recommendations in accordance with the law. Mr. Speaker, under internal controls, we have also called for the National Treasury to come up with a unified county management system that can capture all the facets and all operations in county governments. As I conclude, as I come to the end, Mr. Speaker, we have also flagged out negligence of professionals. And I want to thank the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. Right now, there's a representative from ISPAC, a very highly qualified accountant called CPA Tunga, who has been very useful to our committee in terms of giving us direction and professional opinion on matters. And Mr. Speaker, where we have found professionals to be negligent, and some of our conversations have gone viral, Mr. Speaker, where we are asking for the persons who sign financial statements. We have put the fear of the Lord in people who are signing financial statements. I think the senator from Kajiado can recall when the receiver of revenue report, nobody wanted to own it because they knew that they did not have the professional capacity. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are seeing an improvement in the rigor and vigilance of professionals as a result of the spotlight that we have shown on them. But we have made recommendations that the Institute of Accountants, the Institute of Human Resource Managers, Institute of Supply Chain Managers, the Law Society of Kenya, and the Engineers Registration Board should take disciplinary action against their members who are found to have breached the law. Mr. Speaker, one painful thing which Senator Abbas referred to my committee was the issue of emergency relief procurement. Mr. Speaker, that is another black box that is used to loot public resources. You saw the Governor Mandera could not account for 56 million that was used to plant trees. And when we called it out, he was very angry and he went out there saying that we were harassing him. Emergency relief procurement is being abused. The Devolution Committee did a report and forwarded it to the Public Accounts Committee, showing the variances in prices of simple things like cooking oil, things like flour, things like maize, beans, and rice. Counties that are neighbors, you find differentials of 50%, 100% for the same quantity or for the same item. And Mr. Speaker, the ingenious thing that they've put in is something called water tracking. Water tracking. Hundreds of millions are spent on water tracking. And you cannot confirm that this water was delivered to a cow, a camel, or to a human being. So all you do is to get records showing some signatures. Mr. Speaker, one county, represented by Senator Dulo, spent money on supplements for wild animals because they argued that the wild animals are a tourist attraction and a revenue generator. And so how do you write a report saying that zebras ate 50 million and gazelles ate 20 million? So, Mr. Speaker, emergency relief supply is a crime scene. And this Senate must call it as such, and we must direct the EACC and DCI to have keen interest on that. And I thank Senator Abbas because when a statement came from Senator Chute, Senator Abbas called these governors, and he realized that the crime there was so deep that his committee was incapable of unraveling it, and he asked us to invoke the EACC and DCI, and we shall do so, Mr. Speaker. Let me finalize by just saying one or two things about the county assemblies. The county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, as I indicated, are doing better. In fact, I foresee a situation, Mr. Speaker, where half of the work we do in Nairobi will be done competently at the county assembly level. The county assembly of Kakamega has impressed us because Kakamega County Assembly, every time their governor or their clerk and speaker comes before us, they come with a report of the county assembly already adopted. Now, Senator Boni Khalwale, I do not know whether it is your influence, but I suspect it is the influence of Senator Boni Khalwale because he was the founding chair of the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate. Kakamega has impressed us. Makueni has also impressed us as a county assembly. And I think there could be 2 or 3 others that have shown good financial discipline, good financial management, and some keenness when it comes to issues of oversight. There's only one thing where we disagree with the county assemblies. It's the issue of CAF, County Assemblies Forum, and the Society of Clerks at the table. Mr. Speaker, the law as is has no framework for putting public money into a private association because there's no way to oversight it. But we believe that we must strengthen CAF. We believe we must strengthen SOCAT, Mr. Speaker. And so we have invited CAF and SOCAT to appear before us to work on a framework. I know there's a law that this House has passed